Hey, it's Tom from Tom's Tunes. Today I'm going to show you the steps to assemble and install this 28-inch luxury bench seat from Deckmate boat seats, found at pontoonstuff.com. This seat features the pillow top back, the diamond inlay. This is one of those seats that's changing the game in restoration of your pontoon. When you get your 28-inch bench seat, it's going to come in two boxes. You're going to get your plastic seat base. You're also going to get your cushions. Your cushions come together, the back cushion and the bottom cushion. They're going to be wrapped in plastic. Go ahead and remove that. What we're going to need first is this hardware bag off of the seat bottom, that bottom cushion. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to set my bottom cushion aside for now because I don't need it quite yet. I'm going to move on to that back cushion. I'm going to lay my seat back on my seat base so I can get access to these two inserts. They're a threaded insert for my hardware to go into. In your hardware bag, we've got a whole lot of stainless hardware, but the two things I need first are going to be these threaded rods. So I'm going to grab both of those, and I'm going to insert one into each of those threaded spots in the seat back. I'm going to thread them in about halfway. If they ever get stuck and don't want to turn in, give them a little wiggle as you turn it, and that's typically going to allow them to grab the thread and move in without having to use pliers. I'm going to take the rest of my hardware and set it right in this seat base. If we look on the seat base, we have two slots. Those are going to be receiving holes for those threaded posts that are in the seat back. So I'm going to go ahead and set this on, make sure I'm lined up. And from there, I can line up side to side. I like to make sure that my cushion and my base are as flush or even on each side as possible. That next step is going to be to take my big flat washer, a lock washer, and a wing nut. The way to do this, because it's kind of blind, I guess you could try to look underneath there, but it's not easy to do. So what I do to do it blind is I take my big flat washer, that's going to go on first. Then I take my split washer, that's going to go on after the big flat washer. The wing nut will go on last. So I orient that flat washer against my thumb, the split washer pinched with my index finger, and then I'm just going to rest that wing nut right on my middle finger. So I create this hardware sandwich. That's going to allow me to get underneath here. Start with that flat washer and lock washer, and then follow up by threading that wing nut on, just gently getting it started. And then once I get it all the way up, I'm going to tighten that as much as I can by hand so that that split washer crushes onto the flat washer. I'm going to repeat that step on the other side. With our back secure, we can push that up against a railing. Remember that this seat needs to be supported by a railing, maybe up against a console, but this back needs to be supported by something structurally. It can't just float out in the open. I'm going to find those 4 short machine screws or bolts. They're a 1/4 20 thread. A number 3 Phillips screwdriver will be used to tighten those. I'm going to take those with my bottom cushion. And the way I like to start on the bottom cushion is putting the strap towards me and then flipping my hinges into that closed position. That will allow me, when I set this on, to have those hinges flipped open into the correct positions. Then I'm just going to go through and get these started by hand. There's an insert, a threaded insert that'll line up. We have a little bit of room for adjustment side to side, and then also how the seat will sit depth-wise in relation to the back cushion. To make any of those adjustments, we just loosen side to side. We loosen our bolts that go into the seat base. To adjust the depth of the cushion and how it sits against the back, I would loosen these 4 screws in order to adjust the seat in that orientation. Once I have them started, I'm going to make sure that I'm squared up on each side, and then I can go ahead and hand tighten the rest of the way to secure that seat bottom cushion. With those tightened, I can check for my closing. This is a little bit on the snug side. So if I want to relax that ability for my seat bottom cushion to close into the seat back, all I need to do is loosen these 4 screws just slightly. And you'll see that allows them to slide. So if I slide down about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch, I'm going to do that on both hinges. Try to line it up the best I can to make sure it's square. And that's going to allow me to close that seat much nicer. That will also allow me to help line up these trim pieces if need be. One other thing to remember with these bench seats is that if we're going to install speakers, which they make a great, easy speaker install, is make sure you orient your speaker down towards the bottom of your seat base, especially if you're doing it on the face here. What that'll allow you to do is still open your seat without pinching on the speaker. Also consider a smaller size speaker or maybe even an oblong speaker if need be. From there, we have one last step, which is securing my seat to the floor. In your seat base, they'll ship with your seat base, you're gonna have a bag of 4 screws. These are big stainless screws. It's a number 3 Phillips head once again. What I'm gonna do with these when I'm all ready to secure them into the floor is I'm gonna put one of each screw, there's 4 of them, into each corner of the seat base. So personally, I like to install my corner seats first. Once this was installed, I can smush this right up in, get my bases lined up, my backs lined up. Then I can install 1 screw in each corner of the seat base, and this seat will be ready to take out on the lake and enjoy.